the bank.
Hey, Brett, how's it going this week?
Good, Ange. How are you?
Really good, because we're giving away $100, which
Why?
is just fun. I don't know.
It seems like I want my money.
I know you tried to eat it, but I didn't let you.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I think we talked about this before. Yeah, I used to like count money. I was like really good about like sorting it and like putting in those little like money rolls or whatever so I could take it to the bank. And like one day I was like eating like Cheetos or Bugles, those things you stick on the end of your finger or something. I was eating those and like counting money, and then I was just like putting the money in my mouth to see what that tasted like, and I swallowed one day. And I think that happened twice in like a 2-year span. So yeah,
God,
good times.
Sorry to your parents. Like, I had a lot to deal with. But yeah, no, we're giving away $100 to a listener. We're making it super easy. All you have to do is leave a review about our podcast anywhere. I actually have like a kind of tracker that goes out there and pulls reviews from like Spotify, Google, iTunes, all the big players. So if you leave a review out there on one of those, I should see it. It shouldn't be an issue. You're entered to win. Or if you don't want to do that, because we don't love social media. We don't love putting stuff out there all the time. So we get it. If you don't want to leave a review, just like tell a friend about our podcast in whatever way you're most comfortable doing that, texting, emailing, whatever, and just like screenshot it and email it to me at Angie@moneyinthebankpodcast.com so that I know you did it and you're entered to win. So we're trying to keep it pretty easy for everyone. And $100. I mean, like literally I just send you $100. Like it's no catches here.
Yep, we are excited about this one. Yeah, so direct giveaways to you guys. So pretty easy to enter, pretty big victory to win.
Yeah, it's a lot of cheeseburgers.
That is a lot of, right? That's a whole lot of cheeseburgers.
Okay, so actually, while we were doing this, we're in the process of moving again. So we're downsizing, getting rid of stuff. And we had a piggy bank that we've been like saving money. And coincidentally, we had exactly $100. So we're just like giving you all of our change. But we didn't want to give you our actual physical change. So we were like, we need to convert this into cash and, put in our bank account so we can send a check when we need to.
You're welcome. I was going to send a box full of like 4 pounds of coins, but Angela was like, no, that's not a good idea.
It's not nice. So we were like, we need to convert this. Now, as our listeners know, we've talked about Ally a lot. We bank with Ally, which is an online bank. The one downside here is they don't accept cash or coin conversion. Like
right.
we don't have a physical bank, so we can't take our pail of coins in and be like, fix it.
Right, we can get money out pretty easily, right? Because you can go basically use any ATM and there's no transaction fees because they waive all those fees. But getting the money back in is a little trickier.
Well, and somehow we always end up with more cash than we want. So, like, we very rarely ever have to get money out. Just from, like, we'll pay for something and people will pay us back with cash, or we get, like, birthday money or whatever. And, like, to the point where one time we literally just had to open a new bank account so we could deposit cash, transfer it to Ally, and then like close that bank account. And we got like a sign up bonus, which was the real motivating factor there.
Right. I mean, it was we just piggybacked on one of our other optimizations where you open like a one of the Chase deals where you open the bank account, you have like a certain amount of money stored in that bank account for like a year, and they give you like $300, right? So it's a pretty good, if you can find some of those deals at a high enough value, those are a really good return on investment.
Yeah. So we were just doing something like that, and we, deposited our cash. So anyways, we typically have this problem where we have coins or cash that we just want it in the form of like electric money, because honestly, most of our day-to-day spending is credit cards. Like we don't use cash a lot. We don't value it enough. So we had all of these coins, and we were like, we need to get this to our bank account somehow. And, we have an online bank, so it wasn't that easy. So we counted them all first, right? That was step number 1. And then we were like, let's go buy some of those nifty rolls so we can roll our money so it's easier. The stores around here don't sell them anymore. Like, we could not find them. And I looked it up online. Even a lot of banks don't keep them on hand anymore to give out. So banks used to traditionally keep these on hand to give out. Some of them still do. Some smaller banks still do. But most banks now, for their customers, have like a coin machine in the back. So they're like, don't even roll it, because people were gaming the system and putting like, sticks in between the quarters and the rolls So they're like, I have $10 in quarters. And they're like, no, you had like $5 in quarters. And then you like filled the rest with aluminum foil. So because people were gaming the
I don't
system.
know. My bank always used to like take them out of the rolls and count them right in front of you when you deposit.
Because you always did a smaller bank.
Yeah.
So like my bank, I always had a bigger bank growing up. And like you took them in and they just took your word for it because like they were too busy and like just churning it through. Like I banked with Fifth Third, I think, when I was younger.
Okay.
So, you know, like you didn't have that same personal like teller counting your money. So because of this, most larger banks, like they don't even have the rolls. They don't give them out. They're just like, for our customers, bring in your coins. We toss them in the machine. You know, it's over. Well, we're not customers, right? So that was a problem. So we couldn't get these rolls. So we were like, what do we do? Well, then we were like, oh yeah, those coin machines like that they have at grocery stores and stuff, right? We'll just go there. They charge 10% to get your money converted from coins into cash form.
Right. The same currency, right? You're just doing a transaction from one U.S. currency mint to another U.S. currency mint, right? And yeah, they want 5 times more than it would cost for me to like convert that money into like euros.
Right. Like we could take our 4 pounds of coins, travel to Europe, and convert them for like 1 to 2%.
Right.
And here it would cost us 10%. So like we had multiple people telling us to go this route when we were like asking around at like local stores and banks and whatever. And they were like, oh yeah, this grocery store has a coin change. And we kept being like, well, it's expensive. And they were like, no, it's just 10 cents on the dollar. And I was like, but that's 10%. And if somebody was like, you know, if I had a bank account that every month when I got a check deposited, they were just going to take 10%, I would never bank there.
Right. I'm not going to take a 10% loss on my money for absolutely no reason to make somebody else's job easier, I guess.
Right.
Like, this is no advantage to me. Like, this old process used to be like, I'd take my money to you and you turn it into what you just like accept it, or you turn it into like the dollars that are a little bit easier to manage. But like now the process is, nope, you need to like use this coin machine instead because we're not going to like exchange your coins anymore for dollars.
Well, and furthermore, we could just pay for cash with everything for the next, you know, couple weeks. Every time we get groceries, they have to accept my quarters as like a legal
currency.
And I will say, so like we had mostly quarters. Like 80% of what we were trying to convert was quarters. It's not like I was bringing them like 10,000 pennies or something crazy.
I agree.
Like,
We should. I think I'm all aboard the train for getting rid of the penny, but
right. But like quarters, like I don't know. I mean, it's not that obnoxious to me. Let's say I go and get like a $3 coffee. I don't think it's that obnoxious to pay with quarters, right? Like
right.
No big deal. So I'm like, I could just spend this money. So I'm not gonna like take a 10% haircut because like, hello, that's a lot of cheeseburgers.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because I would have, for depositing our $100, right, in coins, we would have just given up $10, right?
Right.
So that's like dinner out, or right, or just $10 you guys wouldn't have gotten, right? Forget that. So yeah. So what did we do? How did we figure out our way out of this?
So
problem?
Because we are really annoying people, we refused to pay this 10%, and so we were like, hey, we can just buy a money order. And we're buying a good, so that it's like they have to take our valid currency, and we can just get a money order. And then I just filled the money order out to myself and deposited it in my bank account.
Right. So, and that was fine. So they wouldn't just give us like $100 bill in cash, but it was like totally fine that they just like wrote us basically a check, right, or money order for the money and that cost us 89 cents to do that.
Right.
Versus the $10 it would have cost us to just put our coins in the coin machine and have it like auto sort it and spit out, 90, or well, in that case, like, $90 worth of cash.
And I know a lot of people are going to be like, you're kidding me? You went through all this trouble for like $10. But Mr. Money Mustache once wrote an article titled, "A Millionaire has made $10 at a time." And I think if you think about it, I know coins, like, I don't even like coins, right? I don't even want them to like still exist. I would pay for everything with a credit card, but there are cash only places and coins just accumulate, right? But we, like, in this situation, everybody lost. We felt like horrible people because we had to make somebody count $92 or $100, $100 of our money. And she, or the clerk was like, obviously like,
This sucks.
Yeah. But it shouldn't be this way. Like, whoever is running these machines, why do they deserve $10? Now, if it would be 1%, if it would have been $1, we would have happily paid that fee. But I think we really do need to think about this in terms of like interest, because, you know, if you were signing up for a, you know, debit card and they said every time you make a purchase, it's going to be a 10% charge, like that really adds up. That's an insane fee. So I don't know, just food for thought, something to think about. It's not a huge situation. Most people don't deal with their change very frequently or whatever. But, like, it just sucked for everybody. It was not a fun situation.
Right. And so, and the machine that we're talking about was, like, one that it was some random machine there. It wasn't, like, the Coinstar machines that they have at some other grocery stores, like Walmart and stuff, that you see, you know, that are the big, giant green boxes. Those, we are aware that there is a way to get out around that. Like, you can get an Amazon, like, direct gift card from that for free, and then you don't have to pay the 10% fee on that.
Well, so their fee is actually, like, 12%.
It's 11.9% normally.
So their fee is like 12%, or you can do 0% and switch it to Amazon Cash. And we were like, even if we could have done that, we know that we would eventually spend this money on Amazon, right? Like, we don't buy a ton of stuff on Amazon, but here and there, like, someday it'll get spent. And we would have done that. But, like, I didn't just want to lose my money.
Right, for nothing. Right?
So,
for a service that I don't value, that should be free because it's all U.S. currency. I should not pay a fee to, like, exchange my coins for dollar bills.
And I shouldn't pay a higher fee than I would if I took that money to a different country.
Right.
Like, I think that's what was getting me. So, again, I know we're arguing over small potatoes here, and I'm fully aware that people might be like, you guys are ridiculous. But, like, I don't know. These are the things that I think about on a broader picture. Like, I'm just like, this isn't right. Like, something about this is just wrong. And I honestly feel like people who don't really think about it, like, we're doing a disservice to, you know, not bring up stuff like this, because there are people who don't think about it, and they just, like, take this 10% penalty every time, and like that sucks. You're literally screwing people over, stealing their money.
Because they're just like, yeah, this is the way it is. If you want cash dollar bills and not carry around coins all the time. I mean, we have a large homeless population here, right? And they probably have a large amount of coins that they receive on a daily basis. So they're probably just going into the grocery store here that's like across from the park and dumping them into that machine and just like losing 10%.
Right.
So like, it's just a weird scenario if I'm like that manufacturer of that machine. Like, the majority of my revenue probably comes from a homeless population,
right?
In like this square mile area,
like people who really don't have that 10% to give, which I think is why I was so irritated about it. And I was just like, no, I'm not gonna like buy into this system.
Yeah. So,
anyways, that was a super long rant to start our episode, and I actually kind of think we're just gonna keep ranting this entire episode, if that's cool with you, Brett.
It's my favorite. All right.
So
as long as we don't have a trivia question, like that's.
Oh my gosh, I forgot the trivia question. I'll give it to you because you had to. Like, I was a coward and I would have just put my money into the coin machine because I hate inconveniencing people, and you were the one who was like willing to push back a little bit and saved us.
Yeah, I was like, we're getting this $100 for our listeners at the expense of this person being, you know, hating the rest of their day. So
yeah,
I apologize to Allison, the cashier, but
we should do something nice for her. We should like go get her a coffee or something. Be like, here you go. I'm sorry. Okay, so moving on. USA Today, money. I think they're like creating a new subsection of their website or something. USA Today posted this infographic that like, okay, so we've not made it a super big secret that we are fans of the FIRE movement, which is Financial Independence Retire Early. Not because we necessarily think it's right for everybody, not because we're necessarily for sure going to retire at a young age. You know, if we like our jobs, we'll keep them, right? Like the Obama promise. But like, I think it's a really cool community of people doing really cool things, right? So it's no mistake that, you know, websites like Mr. Money Mustache, we've mentioned a lot on this podcast. Adventuring Along is like another really cool duo about this couple that like moved abroad and had their kids over there after they retired in their early 30s and then like, you know, moved back but are still like retired and raising their kids. So just like a lot of really cool people that we've had the opportunity to like interact with because of this movement, right? Mm-hmm. And but now there's this like counterculture kind of like spearheaded by Susie Orman that like hates the FIRE movement and just wants to like talk about how awful it is. But beyond her, there's like a younger like people in their 20s and 30s that instead of being like, oh, it's so cool to think that I could like save money and let compound interest work for me, to like tear it down and be like, well, I am so against it because I can't imagine not spending money on X, Y, or Z. Like, these crazy people are telling me to not drive my car and to bike. Like, they're psychopaths. So there's this like whole counterculture of people who just like attack anytime somebody comes out with like a creative way to save money, and they're just like, you're ridiculous, I could never do that. Which I'm sure like there's a balance there, right? And we don't do all the frugal things all the time. We have a balance in our life. We always advocate you having a balance in your life. But like if somebody is doing something cool, like I at least like to learn about what they're doing and like their experience with it before I go into like, you're crazy, I'm never doing that.
Right, full on reject mode, right?
So
Being
anyways.
super closed-minded, I suppose, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so this infograph was released, and I will say there's a little bit of like, it's not correct because they don't think that the numbers are 100% accurate on here. Some people think they're a little bit inflated by as much as like 3 to 5%. So, anyways, I want to point that out because it was like a big point of contention. But it says average American spends almost $18,000 a year on non-essentials. Here's what some of these are. Restaurant meals, $209 a month.
Okay. Extra, right?
Extra. So this isn't groceries because this is non-essential. So this is just restaurant meals. But let me run through this real quick because there's 4 categories right off the bat. Restaurant meals, takeouts and delivery, buying lunch, and drinks.
All food.
So all food. Like to me, that would all be like one restaurants category. They broke it down into 4, and it's $209, $189, $178, and $174. Now, that's like between $750 and $800 a month on literally what I would call one category of restaurants.
Right. Yeah, because like going out to eat and like lunch, right? Yeah, of course, they're the same thing.
And takeout.
Right, yeah.
And then drinks, like maybe that's coffee, maybe that's alcohol. I'm not really sure. But like still, to me, that's like going somewhere for something I could get out of my own kitchen.
Yeah, milkshakes. That's what it is.
Yeah, milkshakes. Duh. $189 on milkshakes every month. But to me, like, that's insane to me, right? So, like, but then people were like, well, of course I have to, like, buy my lunch. Like, people were still attacking even these line items and being like, of course I need to go out to eat. And I'm like, this much, though? Like, sure, we all have those nights where we're like, we just need a night out. Or, like Brett and I, we were actually just talking about this before the podcast. About once a week right now is our average for like, we're just going to go out, have a nice night to ourselves, like grab some dinner and enjoy like being out of our own dining room for one night.
Right. I mean, because like they're not saying to get rid of that stuff completely. And that's not what we've done, right? We still enjoy going out to eat, right? But it's saying if you reduce going out to eat every single day, right? Or a huge amount, the norm, right? More than 50%. And reduce that down to like 10 to 25%, then you can cut off like, I don't know, 10 years out of your, working career.
Right.
Throwing out wildly inaccurate and unprecedented numbers, but it's somewhere in that ballpark of 10 to 1 year. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so if I can just, if you think about it, let's say $700 a month, right? Let's just be a little bit generous here. So we have $700 a month, and we'll just assume our normal 7%, a year on average is what you're making. After 10 years, if you saved that amount of money, you would have $120,000.
Right. Just from like,
so let's say you don't want to cut all of that out and you're like, I'm just going to, I'm going to go from $750 a month to I'll spend, $200 a month going out to eat. That's more realistic to like what we do. We do a little bit less than that, but right around there. So, you're able to save $550 a month. That's $100,000 in 10 years. Like, what can that $100,000 in 10 years do for you? Buy a house, buy a car, fund you to be able to retire earlier? Like, especially for our listeners in their 40s who maybe have been on autopilot for 20 years and haven't really been thinking about their finances. Like, this is a good time to do a reality check and think about like, how can I boost my retirement savings?
Right.
Because if you have $100,000 in 10 years, you have $200,000 in 20 years.
Right.
Right? So right when you're going to retire, you just just by going out to eat a little bit more, you just boosted your retirement savings by $200,000.
Right. And if you were investing that the whole time from the get-go, from day one of that 10-year period, right, you'd have closer to like $140,000, right? Because the compound interest over the...
I did compound interest.
Oh, come
My
on.
calculations are just that good in real time.
Slick.
Sorry. Right. So anyways, like that's a huge thing. And I think too, like, we actually had a podcast where we talked about like what's the best piece of advice you could give somebody, and you wanted to say cooking and you like missed your opportunity.
Right, yeah, I threw out what was the best thing? I don't know, whatever I said. Yeah, the actual best thing, I don't know if I ever retroacted this or not, but yeah, the best thing you can ever do for yourself, of my opinion as of right now, opposed to what I said before, is cooking, right? Is cooking for yourself. Learning how to cook, cooking at home, that is the thing that is going to save you the most money in your entire life, hands down.
For sure.
For sure.
And like you'll end up making things that are more delicious than what you can get out. And then when you do go out, you choose places very specifically.
You go out less because you're like less satisfied with the places that you could go to on a regular basis that you just realize are like not really that good of food that are being prepared because you're making better stuff at home. And the places you do choose to go to are special treats because you're like, this place is awesome. It's probably a little bit more expensive because they are making food that like is way harder for you to create either quickly.
Not. Like, especially if you go to like different ethnic places. Like we ate some really good Ethiopian food recently and it really wasn't that expensive, but it's like stuff that we don't really know how to cook on our own.
Right. And yeah, you can learn how to cook it, but like there's a lot of complex flavors and like a lot of different seasonings and spices and different foods that you don't normally buy, either like lamb or whatever, right? That may be like a special treat. But when they're cooking like that type of a food for such a wide audience, right? They buy that stuff in bulk and it becomes a much more economical value to do that. So you got to weigh the pros and cons there of like, is it worth it for me to like go down that road and like, I'm going to become an expert in making this food as a challenge? Or am I just going to go out to eat to this restaurant where they have the economies of scale and it's probably a little bit more cost effective for me to go buy this at a place that I think is like doing a really good job at it than for me to like, make this like once every couple months or something like that.
Right. Yeah, there are a lot of restaurants on our list of like, we've just eaten there enough that we just like to support these businesses too, you know? So for sure, like build your own list, I guess. Okay, so to move on, the next category on here, so we basically just had like
four food categories
in a row. The next one is impulse purchases, $109 a month.
Okay, so the checkout line, more or less, or everything on Amazon.
Or like, just walking around, a craft fair and being like, oh, I need this random thing that somebody created. Like, think how great this could be for my life, and then you get it home and you literally never use it.
Or like tourist type things, right? Trinkets that you're like, I'm on vacation, I need to bring something home, and then you're just like a year later, you're just kind of like, okay, this is taking up space, so I'm gonna ditch this, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's usually what happens a lot of the time.
Yeah. So the next one is ride shares. People spend $96 a month on ride shares.
So this is an interesting one. So I'm not so sure that is a negative value, in my own opinion. I've taken that a lot more recently for work. I've kind of converted over from just getting a rental car every week, especially during the winter in Chicago, to letting somebody else drive me around and pick me up from work when they're like nice warm car, so I don't have to like go outside and scrape my windshield.
You sound so bougie right now.
Oh my gosh, yeah. If somebody else is paying for it, then like all day, that's what I'm gonna do, right? But I think there's a good use case if you're gonna like ditch the car completely model, right? And you're not going to go that many places anyway, it could be more economical to use ride sharing or renting a car or doing like Zipcar or any of the other like, kind of car like pick up and go kind of services than it would be for you to like pay taxes and insurance and registration and gas and depreciation on the vehicle and maintenance on the vehicle and right, all the things that we've calculated before of like how much it costs for you to drive your car per mile in that episode, right?
I totally agree. Where I think I want to be a little bit careful, though, is like, I think if you're willing to ditch the car, for sure. Most people aren't ditching the car. They're just doing this in addition to.
Sure.
But again, like if you're going on vacation and you're trying to get to the airport, it's probably going to be cheaper for you to Uber over there or do a rideshare over there, Uber, Lyft, whatever, than pay for parking for a week at the airport.
Right.
So that's a good use case. Where I want to be a little careful recommending this, though, is like if you so we're moving back to Chicago. I think we may or may not have announced that, but we're moving back to Chicago. And for us, like when we were going out to the airport after like a week of apartment hunting there, we could have Ubered out, right? And it would have been like 30, 40 bucks, somewhere in that ballpark. Or for $2 a person, we could take a bus to the Blue Line and take the Blue Line directly to the airport. So where I think ride sharing can be really good is in areas that, you know, you can't do public transit as an option. But like if you can, like there are people now in Chicago that you actually were talking to an Uber driver who was saying like he will take people to and from work every single day. And they live in the city. Like they're going like 2 miles.
Right.
And
a lot of times it's 1 mile. But
right.
They tell me, I hear stories all the time now from being in the cars more often, right? And I talk to them every day. And they're like, yeah, people going to work for a mile. Like if it's raining, it's just like, it's like hands down like triple the amount of requests just to go like a couple blocks.
Right.
And around like finals time, like I was talking to somebody in around Michigan State area, they said like around finals time, they had a huge increase in students who just like got Ubers to like go a mile to McDonald's to get a hamburger or like a Big Mac, right? And then drive home. They didn't even get Uber Eats. They like got the Uber to like go in the car to go get order McDonald's and then come back. So that was like a $15 like hamburger instead of being like whatever it is normally, like $3.
And to me, like genuinely, if you're going a mile or less and you're an able-bodied person, like I get if you're not an able-bodied person, but if you are an able-bodied person, you can walk that. Like a mile is not that far.
Right.
And if you don't want to walk it because it takes too long, you can hop on a bike.
Or bike, right? Or now most campuses probably have like those little whatever scooters, but.
And if you're afraid about getting wet, like I have a raincoat and rain boots and like I'm good all day. Put me on a rainstorm, like it's fine because my raincoat comes down really far and my rain boots come up and it's like I'm fine out here. Like I would walk to and from work in the rain here in Orlando and like several of my coworkers would be like, "Wait, you really walked today? Like what?" And I was like, "Guys, I'm like a half mile away. Like it's just not the end of the world. I'm not gonna, like I have a raincoat. I'm not gonna get soaked." So I think ride sharing can be good when used appropriately for sure. But I think if you're abusing it, like especially if you're in Chicago and you're working like downtown and you're having it take you a mile, like I promise you there's a bus route that does that.
It's just like impulse spending, right? It's a good tool to have be available to you if you need to use it, but it's a very easy kind of like lazy scapegoat to like not have to do something a little bit harder, right?
Right.
And so that's very appealing to a lot of people, but it also like gets real expensive real fast.
Right.
But you just see like the smaller expenses like, oh, it's just $10 to go do whatever, right? Well, yeah, it's also just $10 to go dump all your coins in this machine for $100, right?
Exactly. And a millionaire is made $10 at a time.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, the next one is, Brett, this one's going to be in your court. Personal grooming for $94. And so many people were like, what do you, like, of course I have to groom myself to like, go to work and be, physically appear well. I'm not saying to not groom yourself, but I groom myself for a lot less than $94 a month. I think when I looked at Brett and I's spending, we're right around $16 a month on average.
Yeah, because once in a while I buy deodorant.
Yeah, deodorant.
Like my toothpaste lasts forever. So.
Yeah, but we do buy toothpaste when we need it. Floss. I'm a big flosser. We have water picks, so like when we have to replace those at end of life every couple of years, that spikes our income or our spending that month.
that was like $70, I think, for like a nice one, right? That's like cordless and like you can use like in the shower, right? And it's like, that's a really cool thing to have if you haven't looked into those.
But things like that. We have electric toothbrushes. So again, that's something that was like $100 expense. And, we've had that for a long time now, but in the year that was bought, so there's always things like that we're buying.
Right. But I can't even fathom like what people are consistently spending like $100 a month on.
They're getting a new electric toothbrush every single month.
Yeah, I got the equivalent of that. Yeah. So I don't know if it's like perfume or deodorant or like lotions or shaving cream or like whatever, like all this crazy stuff, I suppose. Right?
I don't know because I use like a moisturizer every day with SPF in it because I'm big on like sun protection. But like that costs me, typically I buy one that's like $10 to $15 and it usually, and I wear it every single day. It lasts me like 3 months or more. So like I just really I don't know if it's makeup. I know makeup can be really expensive. I don't wear a ton of makeup, so maybe that's it. Hair products can be really expensive. I mean, I know skincare actually in general can be hundreds of dollars a month if you want it to be. So maybe it's, you know, being offset by some of those like crazy high expenditures, but like, I don't know. That's insane. You definitely don't need it to like look presentable.
Right. Because like, I don't have shampoo anymore. I don't have shaving cream anymore. I don't buy new razors.
If you want to hear about all of his crazy habits, you can go listen to our extra stinky episode. But we don't need to rehash all of that. You know, and I think it's interesting. You can cut some of that out. Maybe not all of that. But I just think, you know,
but, like,
$94 is a lot.
Trial and error in this area is like a big benefit to you, right? See what's different, see how it affects you rather than just doing the norm that you've done forever, been told to do forever, and just see like, is this making a difference in my life? Yes or no, right? And just like give it a few weeks, and if your body adapts and it's just like, oh, I didn't need this ever, like my entire life, and now I can just save all this money that I was just throwing away to this cosmetics company.
Well, and like a lot of makeup, people will buy like so many different lip shades, and like makeup has an expiration date. So like on the back of it, when you buy it, it will have like a thing that tells you it's good for this many months, right? And so like I typically try to buy like one thing at a time and just wear it and use it up. So like when I buy mascara, I buy one thing of mascara and I use it until it's done, which means I use it before it expires and like gets hard and crusty. But I think a lot of people like they buy all these different products to like try all these different brands or whatever, and then like you have to throw away all of this expensive makeup anyways because you can't use it fast enough. So I mean, that's just another thing too, is just like, and that's something that we really do with like lotion or toothpaste or anything. It's like buy what you need and replace it when it runs out. So, you know, perfume is another one. Some people might buy like 10 different perfumes. I'm the person that I will buy one, and then when it's gone, I'll buy another one.
Right.
So,
you punish yourself if it's the wrong thing. You're like, all right, I got to use it all up, right? I made a mistake buying this, and won't make that mistake again when I get the next one.
That's right. So the next one here is subscription boxes. People spend $94 a month on subscription boxes.
Now, the equivalent of the hygiene, huh?
The equivalent of hygiene. So this can range from anything from, I know there are actually some beauty boxes out there. There's also like bark box for your dog, right? There's like food boxes for snacks.
Unlimited amounts of those.
We've never done a subscription box.
Nope.
So I don't really
They seemed way overly priced from the get-go. So
yeah, I don't have a lot of experience here. I will say my good friend Meg from stitchesandfolly.com, she does beauty boxes, and she used to do 2, and she did a cost benefit for her own sake. So every month when she gets it, she kind of brings in like, here's how much the box costs, here's how much the value of the products I got are, here's the products that I'm actually going to use and I enjoy having, and here's the ones that aren't. And so she's kind of done that to see like, does it make sense for me to have these? She actually canceled one of them and kept the one that she liked better, which I think is a really good way to do it. Like if you know, I think her box, I don't remember how much it is, but I know every month when she gets it, like she really enjoys getting it. She uses all of the products out of it. Essentially, she gets like trial size, like moisturizers. So she uses it up and whatever, right? It's like, otherwise she would have to go out and buy these products. And this way she can try new ones. So I know she really enjoys it. And for her, like she ends up getting enough products that she's like, yep, this is what I would be using and buying anyways, that it is a value add because, right, maybe let's say the box is $20 and then she'll be like, oh, I got $35 worth of product in this box. So if you find like a box like that you're like, this is great for me, you know, by all means do it. But I think if you get to the point where you have $94 worth of subscription boxes, like, are they all adding value? Could you cut out a couple of them?
Right. I mean, some of them are pretty expensive too. I mean, like Dollar Shave Club is a little bit cheaper, right? That's another big popular one out there. But like, you can get pretty expensive if you get like the HelloFresh ones for like the family size. Right?
Yeah,
like
that's true.
That can add up real fast, right?
Yeah.
So it might not be that they have like a bunch of different boxes, but they're just over-subscribing to some particular services that...
And I guess technically, though, if you lumped CSAs into this category, because you get a box
there you
of
go.
food,
that is
then we do get we used to get a subscription box, and we probably will again. But ours, I guess it cost maybe about $80 a month, so I guess we're right in line with that. But it like offsets our grocery budget.
Right,
so.
it like almost completely replaces our like grocery expenses. So
Yeah.
which I guess that's what they say about HelloFresh too. I don't know.
So yeah, I don't know. Again, like I'm not attacking you and saying you shouldn't do these, but just make sure if you're doing it very aware of what you're spending and why.
Right.
Moving on to the next one. This is a fun one for us. Cable. People on average spend $90 for cable. This does not include internet.
Whew. Yeah, I mean, I believe it.
Yeah, we were there 5 years ago. We canceled cable 4 years ago. I know that because we went on a trip to Europe right after that, and I'm just now seeing the memories of our trip to Europe. So I'm like, yeah, we've been cable free for 4 years. Haven't missed it at all.
Nope.
So I don't know, guys. It's really not that hard in this day and age. You can get antennas if you want to keep up with like Jeopardy, and yeah, there's so many places to stream things. We don't really feel like we miss anything. Even like the Super Bowl now, it's super easy to get through antenna or just streaming off of Twitter. Like,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's for a while there were like all the popular football games were like being streamed on Twitter.
so yeah, it's not hard to do that. And then the last category is online shopping for $84.
That seems lower to me than I would have expected.
So I don't know if some of that's being lumped in, though. I mean, technically, subscription boxes are online. Impulse spending could be online.
But I would say the average person with a Prime membership probably spends more than $100 a month on average.
Yeah, and Prime memberships are something really interesting that, like, now that we've canceled it, I don't really know why we were ever paying for it.
Yeah, because we can still get, like, free shipping.
Right.
And it's not 2-day shipping, but it's free shipping on anything that's over, like, $24 or something.
Yeah.
And so that's basically still everything. Unless I'm getting something super small, like toothpaste was a better deal to buy online. I'm just going to, like, throw that in the queue and then just, like, wait until I have $20 worth of stuff in my cart. And then...
Or buy 2 toothpaste and just, like, store one.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Not 2 mascaras, though, because those get weird and crusty.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
Gotta be careful. Yeah, so we haven't really noticed a difference. I mean, we don't have Prime anymore to watch, like, streaming stuff. We never streamed a lot off of Amazon anyways.
Nothing else that they have in their service pool ever added any value to me. Like the music upload service or anything else. It was all for... The only reason I ever got it originally was because like the faster shipping and free shipping on everything. And that was the trial that like hooked me in the beginning. But then now not having it in retrospect, like the price... I mean, there's like some things that you can like only get with Prime or whatever. But it's like... That just seems like more marketing to me than anything else. Like
right.
the stuff that's like not on Prime is like not any more expensive.
Now, I will say the value add to have Prime is if you do your shopping at Whole Foods. So we had never been in a Whole Foods. We actually were given like a gift card to Whole Foods years ago. And then we were spending some time in Chicago recently apartment hunting. And that was just the closest grocery store to us. So we like went there to get some groceries and use our gift card after all those years. And we noticed, like, walking around, it was like, strawberries are $6.99 a pound, but if you have Prime, they're $3.99 a pound. And I was like, okay, so if I did all of my shopping here just to pay, like, reasonable prices, it would actually be worth spending the money on a Prime membership, because if you shop there every single week and you just saved $3 one week on strawberries, you can very quickly get your money back.
But nobody should be paying $7 for strawberries anyway, ever. So,
right, yeah, and
go to any other grocery store and they're probably like normally priced regardless.
But
right?
I understand that in some communities, like that's your only grocery store within walking distance. So if you are gonna shop there, like maybe it's worth ponying up that $120. I think it's still $120. Don't quote me. That's what Amazon
raise
was
it every year,
the last time we had it, but I think it might be higher now. I'm not sure. But I could see it totally being a value add in that situation to have Prime.
Yeah, that was the other factor. Is I bought it when it was like $89 or something, or $79.
Yeah, I had it when it was $70. And actually, the first year I had it, it was $59 for me because I was like a student.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now that, it got to the point where they were like, okay, we're just going to increase it like another 10%. I was just like, I am not valuing this at the current rate that they're charging it for.
And I think it was one of those things where I was like, of course I want free $2 shipping. And I do think when Prime went in, like shipping was never free and it was never like fast. But now like, you spend $25, you get free shipping anyways. And even though it's not 2-day, stuff typically comes pretty quick still.
Right. Or even if you get stuff on other services now, like they've had to compete with like the free shipping on Prime. So like most other services now, it's not uncommon to get free shipping on like anything, including eBay. Like people selling stuff on eBay, like they just have to throw in like the free shipping option because like it's just like a mental block for people that have to pay like, oh, extra money for shipping. Forget that, right? If you just tack in free and then just like make the price a little bit higher, you end up selling the products a little bit easier.
Yeah,
You've done that several times.
I
always
actually
put
know
free shipping.
on Etsy as well, they will promote your product in the search engine more if you offer free shipping.
Yeah, so it's all a game now on the back end for all these like market e-commerce sites. Right?
And honestly, like I learned how inexpensive shipping was when I started my Etsy store, because like I had to calculate the cost. And I was like, oh, this cost me like not very much money to ship. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we had another topic, but we are way over time already because we are just super chatty Cathys, so we will save that for another episode. Thanks for tuning in this week. I know this was kind of like a weird one where we just ranted. It wasn't meant to attack anybody. Like, if you have these high spendings, I'm not saying to deprive yourself. I'm not saying to be so frugal that you, like, hate your life, but it's about balance, and it's about realizing that, like, you don't have to spend $700 a month going out to eat. It is going out to eat. I don't care if you break it into 4 categories. Like, it's all just going out to eat. You don't have to do that to live a happy life.
Right. You don't have to never drive your car ever, right? Or you don't have to, like, get rid of it and only take the bus. But, I mean, it's the people that, like, spend 40 minutes one way on a commute every day, right? And because you're driving that car and because you're doing that commute and, right, racking up all those hidden expenses, then you're going to work an extra 20 years just to be able to like sit in your car more and continue doing that commute, right? It's just a weird cycle, right? And that's kind of what people are like realizing. And they're just like, I don't want to do this. That's not the situation I want to be in. I'm going to live closer to work. I'm going to reduce all these expenses and I'm going to like retire 10 years earlier because I saved all this extra money.
Or I'm going to be able to retire because we are faced with the retirement crisis here in America where people don't even realize that they're living outside of their means because they just think that's how they're supposed to be living.
Right. You don't just get to auto retire when you're like, you know, in your late 60s, right? Or for some people early 60s. That's not the milestone. The milestone is a dollar amount that you have to live off of for the rest of your like expected, you know, life expectancy. And so, right, that's kind of the mentality that a lot of people that I've talked to and I grew up with, and it was like, oh yeah, that's just the way it is. You work until like you hit this age and then you're retired, right? No, that's not it at all.
Right.
You could have $0 in your bank account and then you're not able to retire because you don't have anything to live off of for the next 30 years.
Exactly. So I think we just always want to encourage people, like, think outside the box. And if you hear somebody doing something different than you, instead of being like, well, I could never do that, instead of that being the first thought in your mind, why not just ask them more about how they did that or how they're structuring their life to live that way? I will admit, like 3-4 years ago, I always thought like Mr. Money Mustache was crazy when he was talking about biking. And then I finally said, you know what? I'm just going to design my life a little bit differently and go for it. And you know the rest. If you've listened to our podcast, I sold my car. We're down to 1 car. We barely put 100 miles on our car now at all anymore. A month anyways. And like, that has been a huge money saver for us, and it allows us to do different things with our money. So we don't save it all. We talk a lot about saving money, but we go on vacations that are super fun and very nice that we are able to do because we're not spending money on gas, right? And all this other stuff. So, I think the big lesson here is think outside the box, think about what your goals are, think about what your priorities are, and then be willing to modify your life if that helps you get closer to your number one goal. And if it doesn't, then like, keep doing what you're doing. That's fine too, but just know what you're giving up by doing it.
Right. It's all a system of trade-offs, right? You can continue the norm and never change anything and just see where you end up, or you can have a plan and follow that plan and you can adjust it as you go along. But like once you know the trajectory, you know where you're going to hit, right? It's all a math formula.
Right.
And if you do this calculation, you're going to land here and boom, maybe here's retirement, or maybe here is like when I'm going to buy a house, or maybe here's when I'm going to get it, save up for another car or whatever, right? But like you can have all these different trajectories, and then just like your life's kind of like a little bit more secure and stable and mapped out, rather than just like rolling the dice and just like going with the flow and like everything's going to be all right. And at the end of the day, you're just like, I guess I didn't realize that I needed to save all this extra money, or like there was a dollar amount I needed to hit to be able to like invest and, have it for my retirement. Oops.
Right, yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in this week, guys. Again, don't forget to enter our contest to win $100. I will drop all of that contact information in. And thank you so much for listening. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Money in the Bank. Make sure to subscribe to us on the iTunes or Stitcher app so that you get weekly alerts every time we post a podcast. Or if you want, you can visit my website, moneyinthebankpodcast.com. And if you want to reach out with any questions or further comments, please email me at Angie@moneyinthebankpodcast.com. I look forward to hearing from you.
Money in the bank.